Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Michael Bartlett, Master Metaphysical Astrologer, and I want to welcome you to my monthly forecast. This is going to be a doozy this month, March 2023. Like I say on here, warning, big changes ahead. This is going to be a lot longer of a forecast than I usually spend just because of the dynamics that are involved and just so many significant changes that are going on in the month. Yeah. First of all, I want to give great thanks to Christine Cianci, who hand painted in oil every one of the figures for our Astro Theater figures that I'll be using throughout our presentation today. And I want to let you know that my website's been updated, coremichael.com, coremichael.com. Please feel free to stop by and visit, see what it is that I offer there. And if you sign up for my newsletter, get onto my mailing list, you will get a free Astro Theater 2023 retrograde calendar. All right, like I said before, this is a major month of change. I think we're going to be looking at it as far as this as being BM and AM, meaning before March 2023 and after March 2023. There are just so many significant changes that are happening, like I said, including a major generational shift on one of the outer planets, which we're going to get into in a little bit. Yeah, I think we're going to all be tested in many different ways this month, and it's going to be interesting to see how we meet the challenge and how we are able to continue to relate to ourselves and others while these changes continue to unfold. So on the 1st of March, we are going to be experiencing a Venus-Jupiter conjunction in Aries. This is really Venus and Jupiter are the benefics of in our solar system. Venus is about love and beauty and our relationships, and Jupiter is about giving us more of the really good, juicy, yummy, sweet things. So you put these two together in Aries. You can see these two are dressed up in their Aries uniform. They are going to be going out and they're going to be probably going to create a little bit of a row tonight. They're probably going to go out and have quite a crazy time. So this is a good time to be expanding a little bit with one's relationship, seeing what kind of love is there, what one's experiencing. Because at the end of the month, we're going to be having a very different experience with Venus. So this will be a nice opening, a little bit kind of like carrying on from our Valentine's Day, so to speak. But of course, you know, with the Aries, it's a little more instinctual, so things can be a little sharper. Things can move along quickly, especially relationship-wise. This is, you know, a time when people can really fall in love with one another really quickly, right? Or fall out of love, realizing that maybe, or fight. You know, this might be time when you might want to argue, get a little bit of arguments to get the juices flowing in the relationship. Those sorts of things can go on during these sorts of initiations. Jupiter likes to expand things. And so while we like to call these two the benefics, when we think of Jupiter expanding everything, there are certain things we don't really want to expand. First of all, we don't really want to eat chocolates and sweets all day long because, you know, that gives us something like diabetes. Jupiter also expands and multiplies things. So it can, you know, if something's not going well in a certain area, it could actually make it really be present. I like to think of Jupiter as kind of like this big hot air balloon that blows up and it makes us have to pay attention to what's going on. On the 2nd of March, we have Mercury and Saturn conjunct in Aquarius. This is a really great time. You know, what are you thinking for your plans? What kind of structures do you want to do? Great time for speaking to groups, associations, friendships, meetings, coming out with thoughts and ideas about how to make plans that are going to be better serving for ourselves and for the collective. On the 2nd of March, we have Mercury moving out of the sign of Aquarius and into the sign of Pisces. Mercury in Pisces is very sensitive. It's still, you know, it comes out of that more analytically time-oriented sensitivity of Aquarius and earlier on with Capricorn, because they're both Saturn ruled, and obviously it was just with Saturn just a moment ago, as we saw yesterday. And so with Mercury in Pisces, there's going to be a lot more sensitivity to the environment, speaking and hearing things, communing with dream state, communing with spirit animals. These are sorts of things that can come through with Mercury in Pisces. The communication isn't as clear and clearly defined as it was when Mercury was in air sign. So it's going to be a little more of a sensory sort of experience in water. On the 3rd of March, we have a conjunction with Mercury, with Venus and Chiron. this is going to be, this can, after Venus was hanging out with Jupiter, this could maybe show like some of the wounds, some of the things that might have been brought up, like I said, with the expansiveness of Jupiter. Venus might, kind of go back into her corner a little bit and go like, wow, I don't know if I really like that interaction, or wow, I really did love that interaction. But with Chiron there, it's the instinctual wound, but it's also the teacher, educator, facilitator in us, right? But when it's in Aries, I find that these things can be very, very quick. It's very much a knee-jerk reaction. So good to kind of take the time to find ways to bring communication, to use that Pisces Mercury that we just talked about, to be a little more sensitive in this, because you can see all these three have their swords drawn. Aries, as we like to know, we'd like to think of them as warriors, but the truth is they don't really want to be forced to act on that. They know the cost of what's going to happen when they pull their sword out and they use it to cut someone's head off. So it's more like being standing at the ready and being on guard. So as you can see, this is kind of like a very standoffish kind of an energy, but it's also can give the ability to kind of like deep dive into things and see what the truth is that you need to deal with and resolve. On the 7th of March, Saturn is finally leaving the sign of Aquarius and moving into Pisces. For those of us born in the mid-1960s, 1965, we're coming up on our second Saturn return. Others who have Pisces in Saturn and Pisces are going to be experiencing similar as time goes on. Saturn and Pisces is a very interesting energy. I've been able to speak about it twice on two individuals' talk shows, one on Sue Minahan's show, the second on Sarah Christensen's show, and then the third will be on Mary Lynn LeBlanc's Moonwise show. For some reason, I'm being called forth to be the speaker on this. But it's wherever Saturn is in your chart is where we find our maturity, where we find the ways in which we experience limitations and struggle and hardship. Saturn in Pisces, Saturn likes structure. Saturn rules Capricorn, Saturn rules Aquarius. So you can see that there's a little more of structuredness around that with those two signs. But when you get into Pisces, it's not about structure. One of the easy metaphors to remember with Saturn and Pisces is sandcastles on the beach. When you think about it, you can spend all that time when you were a kid, maybe if you have kids and you're doing it now, building up these wonderful sandcastles on the beach, and then the waves come in and they remove them. When it comes to emotional boundaries, which is, I think, really what it kind of speaks to with Saturn being in a water sign, it's about learning to say no to that which is not serving you or that is not healthy for you. The Pisces Virgo axis is about service. So when Saturn is in Pisces, it's going to, of course, Pisces is that larger last sign of the house. It has this larger viewpoint in things. So Saturn in this position can really take the position of seeing things from a more expansive viewpoint that isn't so limited and pinched in the normal ways that Saturn can be. On the 11th of March, Jupiter cozies up to Chiron for a conjunction. This can really bring to light this can be really good teaching, educating, facilitating time. Jupiter is also one who is dedicated to law and the idea of higher education, ruling Sagittarius. So with Chiron there, what is it that we need to teach ourselves? What is it that we need to do to take care of ourselves and arm ourselves for protecting ourselves? I think also too, with the energies that are coming up in the next few days after this is probably really good to do it. So, if you need to do a meditation, or if you need to go in and do some, maybe do running on the beach, or, going out for a run or doing something athletic and making yourself really feel your body, this would be a really good time for it. Yeah. On Sunday, the 12th of March, in the United States, we will be having daylight savings time, springing forward 1 hour. It goes from 2 o'clock in the morning, then automatically becomes 3 o'clock in the morning. Therefore, we're losing an hour. So just realize, that's another thing that's going to kind of throw us off this month in March. I don't know about you, but it usually takes me a good month to get used to the time change. And I know there's a lot of talk each year. There's a lot of talk to see about removing daylight savings time and just keeping standard time throughout the year. We'll see what happens this year. This might be the year that happens. On the 14th of March, we have brother Neptune in Pisces squaring Mars in Gemini. This can be a little troubling. As you can see, along with Neptune, we have the Sun and Saturn there as well. Neptune, Mars likes to see and do things really clearly, but Mars has been hanging out in Gemini for such a long time, as you all know, getting all kinds of things done, being a real busybody. And now that he's going to be squaring Neptune on the 14th, this can be a little bit discombobulating. This could be like getting into your car and going like, wow, I don't remember where exactly it was that I was going, or where did I leave my keys, or starting any kind of a process and kind of losing your way with it. But what's really good to use these energies for is the opportunity of meditation, of a devotional process. Neptune and Mars are considered sixth ray in esoteric astrology, which means loving devotion. So whatever it is that the 14th of March might be a good day to vote things that are important to you around your home, that people who you love, show some love and appreciation, to your animals, to the things that you care for and you devote yourself in your life. Your work, it actually can be an aspect of it. Your car, if you're devoted to your car, Mars loves cars, Mars cars. So, but it's not an easy way. Just realize that, the ways in which you think that things are going to go directly and you're going to get things done in a really easy manner might not be. So allow for things to unfold in the way they need to. With all this energy in Pisces, Sun, Neptune, the ruler of Pisces, of course, and Saturn there, that's a lot of energy basically saying, hey, well, let's just chill out. Let's have a glass of wine. Let's look at the stars. Let's talk about spirituality, look at their garbs. Let's pull out our crystal balls. Let's pull out our tarot cards. And Mars like, hey, what? I don't really want to hang around for that. I've got things to do. I'm in Gemini. I want to do something. I was like, yeah, you know what? My sense is that if you devote a little bit more of this Pisces energy, it'll probably help that Mars energy kind of calm down a little bit. Then on the 15th of March, we have a Sun Neptune conjunction. This is really would be a great time, especially for what's coming on again in the next couple of days after this, to devote oneself to really feeling into things. How is life feeling to you right now? How are you feeling? What is going on in your environment? Are you feeling safe? Are you feeling comfortable? My sense is that those of us with strong Pisces planets, or actually anyone who has, we all have Pisces in our chart somewhere. And so all of us are going to be activated in our Pisces, and therefore all the other mutable signs, Gemini, Sagittarius, and Virgo, of course. There's a lot of movement involved, and Mercury's in Pisces. So there's, can be a lot of busybody stuff. So whatever we can do to kind of slow ourselves down, go inward, realize that things on the outside might not really match what we're feeling on the inside. The 16th of March is a big day. We've got a lot of configurations going on this day. First off, we are starting out with a Mars, Sun, Mercury. I think it's a little earlier on for the Sun, but then it hits Mercury a little bit later on. But we were talking about earlier on with that Mars squaring Neptune. Now it's Mars's turn to square the Sun and Mercury. These are a lot more intimate, right? These are the intimate planets. These are these close spheres. Mars is just right on the other side of Earth. It's the next planet. Mercury is 2 planets in, close to the Sun. The Sun is the great ray of light that gives us daylight in our lives and everything. They're squaring each other. So this is not going to be an easy day. Mercury-Mars squares are even more confusing in the aspect of, Mercury's ruling that Mars. So it's going to be saying like, hey, you know what, Mars? That journey you want to take is not really going to go the way you plan. If you want to pick a fight with someone, an argument with someone, you might not necessarily win. It's not going to be on just your quick-wittedness alone. It's going to be about also paying attention to the feeling, the sensation aspect of it with the Sun and Mercury there in feeling water-oriented Pisces, squaring that air Gemini Mars. Same day, we have Venus squaring Pluto. This is, this is tough for those of us with, if you have Venus that is Venus in Capricorn, this has been a really challenging time having Pluto having worked over Venus. Now Venus in the sign of Aries by transit is squaring Pluto at the end of Capricorn. This really, the great and terrible simplification of relationships. What is the truth about your relationship? What is the truth about your values? How do your values and your relationships and the ways you love and you see beauty not quite up to what you want them to be? How is it that, there might be these things where you have some ideals about how you have your love, your relationship, how you have your sense of self in relationship. Pluto's going to come along and say, hey, that isn't necessarily so. Kind of gives a bit of a wake-up call. Then on the 16th of March, Venus is leaving the sign of Aries and moving into the sign of Taurus, where Uranus is already sitting. Sorry, Uranus is a little bit over there off to the side. You can't really see it very well. But Venus moving out of Aries and into the sign of Taurus, she rules Taurus. She loves the Taurus energy. You see her there with the glass of wine, the grapes. She's laying back on a recamier or a swooning couch. Bring me peeled grapes, make love to me. This is a real wonderful change and shift in a lot of the energies that are going on to have this, Venus back in her home sign. It's going to feel a little less edgy. She's going to feel a lot more comfortable, relaxed, and she needs to be treated well. So you might need to, have, going along. Of course, we talked about earlier with that Jupiter Venus would have been really activated for sweets, but treating yourself to a little something that makes you feel good. Maybe indulging a little bit. Venus likes to indulge in nice fabrics, nice good items, good quality. Taurus likes quality. And with Uranus there, we're talking about the change in form, of course, for Taurus. On the 17th of March, we have a Sun Mercury conjunction. These happen about 3 times a year when because Mercury makes those wonderful relationships, orbits around the sun so quickly. So when it's here, this is kind of like a splitting the veils. You can still see we have this stellium, Saturn, Sun, Mercury, and Neptune all in Pisces. So we've got the ways we structure and the ways we are our authority, the way we shine out in the world, the way we communicate and move with Mercury, and the ways we have our spiritual, artistic, creative selves in Neptune. And those are all in the very creative, sort of out there in the universe kind of la land energy of Pisces. So I find when Mercury is in Pisces, there's the opportunity to kind of communicate with the other side. Maybe you'll get some messages from people who have passed on. Maybe a little bird will appear in your window that your mother was your mother's favorite bird, and your mother passed away 2 months ago, and that bird doesn't naturally show up in this area where you live. These are the ways in which spirit lets us know, and I think especially on this date, this will be really important, an important time to see. The veils are a little thin, like I said. Then on the 18th/19th of March, depending on where you are, all of these, of course, are depending on where you are in the world. We have Mercury leaving the sensitive sign of Pisces and joining Jupiter and Chiron in the sign of Aries. That's going to totally change the movement, the feelings, the ways in which Mercury is going to be expressing itself, and the ways in which we are going to be expressing ourselves. Things aren't going to be as lackadaisical. They're going to have a little bit more of an immediacy. They're going to have a little bit more of an urgency to the ways in which things need to be spoken to. Speech you might hear someone sharing something with you, and you might hear it as an order. That's one of the things that can happen sometimes when Mercury is in Aries. On the 20th of March, we have the Sun leaving the sign of Pisces and joining the gang in Aries. So now we have the stellium in Aries again, right? So we've got all this instinctual energy. Aries loves the sun. Jupiter, Mercury, Chiron. So we've got the ways in which we shine out in the world in a big way through Jupiter, communicating and processing instinctually and dealing with the wounds and teaching, educating, and facilitating ourselves using the ideas and trainings of the past to be able to work with the future. So this is going to be a very instinctual time. This is going to be, you know, again, this is getting ready for even more of these changes. Aries is a cardinal sign, so it is a beginner. So there's a lot of initiating energy going on here on the 20th of March.
Hello, Earthlings. You need to know the importance of astrology. Otherwise, how will you know what to do when we show up?
So there's a lot of talk about what's coming up here in March. On the 23rd, Pluto, our generational marker, is moving out of the sign of Capricorn and moving into Aquarius. To be honest, none of us really know exactly what that's going to look like and what it's going to mean. Some people are talking about aliens showing up. Some people are talking about AI taking over. The truth is, like what I said in the very beginning of the talk, we're going to be talking about before March and after March, because these changes are going to be so significant. I think March is going to make a lot more sense to us when March is over. Many of the things that are going on in the world that are getting exacerbated. We're having the so many people around the planet are needing to immigrate to safer places. The earthquakes in Turkey and Syria, the war going on in Ukraine, what Russia's doing, what's going on with China, what's going on with North Korea. A lot of those leaders, and if I include with those leaders, Iran, if you want, you can take a look at my Pluto talk that I gave on this because it goes into it more extensively. A lot of these leaders are going to be really activated when Pluto moves into Aquarius. They're going to be experiencing oppositions and squares to their natal Pluto, which can feel very threatening, life-threatening. Overall, I think this is really a huge indicator of a big shift in our collective energies. It's going to be in the sign of Aquarius for a short period of time until the 12th of June, and has been Capricorn since 2008. And it's going to go back into, finally next year, I mean, it goes in again for a little bit and then comes back out, but in 2024, it's basically in there for good for November 2024 through March 2043. I believe in this time period between the 23rd of March and the 12th of June, we're going to be getting some amazingly significant experiences of what this energy is going to be like moving forward to 2043. Whether that is going to be, some sort of a cataclysm, some sort of a humanistic experience or event, but something that is going to allow us to understand that we all have more in common than we have apart. But also going along with that, there are the issues of, like I talked about earlier, the AI, the artificial intelligence that is getting bigger and stronger, that is has a lot of people, of course, very concerned, and rightfully so, because, you know, one of the great ways you can tell about what's going to be happening in the future as a possibility is reading sci-fi. And as we know from what's been going on with sci-fi for the last while, for those of us who are familiar with sci-fi is actually where I should put it, there are these things anywhere from human, robot connected creatures to us having chips in our bodies, to us having robotic parts to our bodies. There are so many different ways. I mean, we're becoming more and more dependent on our electronic devices, many of us. We have our phones in us and on us almost all the time. So at some point, it's probably going to get more and more incorporated. That's probably going to happen over this time period. But there's also larger, huger issues that are going on. And Pluto is that which helps us to become aware of these things that are not just about us. One of the aspects that's going on for us globally is that the planet is in the process of getting ready to change poles. And when that happens, typically the electromagnetic field that usually keeps our atmosphere and protects us from a lot of the radiation that comes in from outer space gets thinner and finer, so that shift can happen. That allows more radioactivity, more of those rays that come out from the universe to affect us, and also affect our crops, our ability to feed ourselves, our ability to take care of ourselves. Certain things can happen. Our electronic devices, solar flares can happen, which can knock out our electronic devices. We haven't had an experience of a solar flare knocking out telecommunication devices here in the Western world for over 100 years, which is very significant. When that happens, it's going to be interesting to see what happens to all of our cloud-based information. Will it survive? These are the questions we're going to be asking ourselves. At its highest point, Pluto in Aquarius is about right human relationship and doing the right things to make it so. I believe the key with it, especially with Aquarius and stepping into esoteric astrology in the sense, or esoteric understandings, is learning to become personal to the impersonal and impersonal to the personal. It's not having as much drama. It's not having as much attachment to things. It's learning that, life, like what we learn in astrology, is that life is a series of cycles that continues to unfold. And I love this image I did of after Boris Artsabashev's The Last Trumpet, because it's a sound, it's air, right? Pluto and air. There is this aspect of calling forth something that is larger and greater than all of us to become awakened. I believe this really fits onto the part that switched for us in December of 2020, after we'd been experiencing the pandemic for 9 months, when Jupiter and Saturn began their new great migration in air signs and no longer from earth signs. The air period fosters information for intellectual, immaterial, ideological information. In Aquarius, these are humanitarian themes, of course, but also understanding, who is it that has those, who is it that's making those ideological choices? Who is it that's making those statements for everyone? Aquarius can be a bit elitist, so certain people can believe that they are the only ones who know what's best for humanity, and that's where we can get into a problem with our own people. The previous great mutation was in earthy Capricorn, which started back in January of 1842, which of course coincides with the beginning of, or actually we were into the beginning of the industrial age, but we can see now we're in this information age, which goes along with the age of Aquarius and also with the great mutation now for the next 200 years in air signs. Whew, that's a huge one. On the 25th of March, Mars is finally leaving Gemini and stepping into that little interesting place of Cancer, which he's not very comfortable with that. Mars likes to be freewheeling and have fun, go out populating, sharing his seed and his manliness with everyone with whom he comes in contact. He's not really the one who wants to settle down and take care of babies here, but you can see, he might find a way, if he's okay, if he can teach the baby how to use a sword. On the 26th of March, we have a Mercury Chiron conjunction. This is a really great time to really speak to things that haven't been spoken to for some time. Again, we've got the stellium of the Sun, Chiron, Mercury, and Jupiter in the sign of Aries. These are very instinctual, very Aries, one of the sayings for Aries is where angels fear to tread. And that is because Aries is likely to shoot first and ask questions later. And when I said earlier about the sword, I mean it with the shooting too, because Aries actually wouldn't be the one to shoot first. It'd probably be more likely Scorpio or Capricorn. But they're going to end up doing something because it's so instinctual, it's cardinal. They're going to act first and ask questions later. And that can be sometimes kind of a problem. So with Mercury there, this could be a really great opportunity to address issues that have not been spoken to for a while, to share thoughts and feelings about pains, previous hurts, or maybe even just writing them down or something and burning them and getting rid of them and not even involving anyone else. It could be a really good opportunity on the 26th. Then on the 27th, we have Jupiter. Mercury moves up to Jupiter, and then they have a conjunction. Obviously, it's going to still be close enough for Chiron there. So it's really actually all three of them being combined over this time period. So again, this is just like my sense is if there are any wounds in the relationships you're experiencing or any issues that you're dealing with, things are going to come to a head, I guess is actually what I should say with this, especially with Pluto moving to Aquarius. It's almost like the light bulb goes off. It becomes really clear what it is. It gives a great observational opportunity. And then these guys, these guys get to work, send out the militia, get rid of these issues, address them. 30th of March, we have a very unusual, remember when I talked about in the very beginning, we had Venus in there with Jupiter in Aries. Now we have Venus conjunct Uranus in Taurus. This is shakeup energy. This goes along with some of that Aries energy we're just talking about, because Uranus here is going to say like, hey, you know what? I don't know if this is really working for me. Uranus is that shock, that jolt of insight, that evolution of what it is that needs to happen. It's also very rebellious. So this could also be someone kind of sneaking in, and maybe there's a little love affair that goes on, or a little flirtation that goes on. Taurus likes to be loyal. Venus in Taurus especially likes to be loyal. But with Uranus there's just something that says like, hey, you called me beautiful. Are you going to back that up? Regardless of what relationship you have. So it'll be interesting to see like how that plays out. It could also, because of the other energies that are involved this month, especially with Pluto moving into Aquarius, Uranus as the modern day ruler of Aquarius in the sign of Taurus, and talking about new forms. These two signs speak to something about new forms of humanity, new ideas. Again, this linking up of robotics and computer and electronic technology with humanity. Kind of being Borg-like in a certain way. Be interesting to see like what this sets in motion. Those are the aspects for the month of March. I'm excited to say in March I will be at the Istanbul International Astrology Days from the 24th to the 26th of March 2023. Please visit their website as shown below to find out more if you like. Also, we're going to be doing some fundraisers, of course. While Istanbul has not been hit directly, where the earthquakes happen is over in the eastern part of Turkey near the Syrian border. These, 50,000 people have perished. Hundreds of thousands of people have been displaced. We're going to be doing fundraisers. It's probably going to be a small drop in the bucket, but I think anything and everything we can do to help one another is really important and crucial during these times. Again, that Pluto and Aquarius is going to help us understand, we're all in this together. We're all on this planet together. My books, of course, are available. And I can be reached at Core Michael, which is where my website is, or you can email me at michael@coremichael.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. Again, please hit like. If you're still looking at this, if you found value in it, please subscribe, please share with your friends. Thank you so much. And may you and yours be blessed this month. May you find the grace to be present to what it is that you are going to be experiencing for the month of March in the most gracious way possible, so that your life can unfold for your highest benefit. Bless you and have a great day and month. Thank you.